Hello, in this video we're going to talk about another way to represent data in Python using what's called a dictionary. So dictionaries in Python are similar to lists, but they usually have more specialized use cases, and the way they are represented inside the computer is quite different. In Python, dictionaries are stored using what is called a hash table data structure, and dictionaries are sometimes called associative arrays or maps, which is the term used at the interface level in languages like Java. So the basic idea of a dictionary is to associate a key with a value, which forms a so-called key-value pair. And a dictionary is just a collection of these key-value pairs that is, in general, unordered, which is different from a list, which inherently has an order to it. So if you think about uh, the usual meaning of a dictionary, like a dictionary to look up words, the key in that case might be the word, and the value associated with that key might be the definition of the word. So let's take a look at a list in Python to remind ourselves how that works. So I'll just say my list and give it some entries, just some random stuff. Okay. And when I want to access an element in this list, each element has an associated index number, and the list has an order. So the first thing in the list here, the 43, that's the first element, and the second element, and so on. So my list at index 0 is how we read this, refers to that first element in the list there. And if we run that, that's what we get. This represents the 43. So a dictionary, instead of having an implied index here, has a key. Let's look at how to write that. So instead of my list, I'll say my dict. And instead of the square braces here, what we use are curly braces for the initializer list for a dictionary. So that is the same key as the square brace, but you have to hit the shift to access the curly brace here. So let's just look at an example of let's say a profile of someone. So how this is going to work is you write the key first. So I'm just going to make up like a profile about a person. So I'm going to say age is 18 or 18 and then a comma. So here is the first key value pair in the dictionary. The key is age and the value is 18. And the colon indicates thing on the left is the key, thing on the right is the value. And I can have some other stuff like height. Oh, this is not a variable, so it needs to be a literal value. Height might be, I don't know, 65.7 inches or something. And then maybe name, maybe that's Bob. And just a couple more things, maybe favorite color. And maybe that's green. Okay, and then a closing curly brace. So just like with the, here we are, we're looking at the curly brace here. So just like with the lists, we have an opening square bracket for a list and a closing square bracket. Do the same thing with dictionaries, but for the initializer list here, if you're writing it out like this, you would have the curly braces instead. So now down here, if I want to access one of these things, instead of my list, I name this my dict. And I still use the square bracket notation, but what I put in here, instead of saying 0 for the first thing, I would put age. And let's look at what this does. So if I run this, I get 18. So this is saying access the dictionary and give me the value associated with the key age. And I could change this to be name instead. If I run that, I'll get Bob, and so on. So this is a useful way to represent this sort of data. And you can add things to a dictionary as well. So let's see, what do I have? Age, height. So I could add maybe a weight. And I would do that just by saying my dict. And then this is saying add, if I'm putting something here that's not already in the dictionary. So for instance, weight, I use the assignment operator, and I'll make this 170 or something. Okay, and now if I print out my dict, we'll see that it added the weight key value pair here at the end. And so I did that by doing this, and I can actually remove things as well using this del or delete keyword. So I say delete my dict, where the key is height. And if I run this, I'll get the same dictionary back, but the height here is gone from the most recent version down here. Okay, so that's the basic idea of how to use a dictionary. That's the syntax for how it works. Let's look at like why you would want to use it. So some examples. One example that's pretty easy to understand is the abbreviations for states. I think it's a good example. So say you want to, I'm going to delete what I have here. Say you want to write a program where somebody inputs like the abbreviation for a state and you want it to tell you what that state is. So say somebody inputted MD and we know that's Maryland, but if we're thinking about the tools in our toolbox so far, we would have to write a bunch of if statements. So let's say like we say abbreviation equals input, enter a state, abbreviation. Then well, all we know so far is we'd have to go like if abbreviation is MD, print Maryland, and then we'd have to do lots of others like elif, 50 of these in fact, Ohio or something, then print Ohio, and so on. Okay, so this would be a lot of code. We'd have to write 50 if statements basically. And if I run this, you'll see that if this should work. If I enter MD, I get Maryland. Fair enough. But we could use a dictionary to solve this problem as well, which would, in my opinion, be kind of a better approach. And you could kind of have this information in a text file and programmatically build the dictionary. So you wouldn't even have to type all this out by hand. But what you could do is you could say like state, I'll just say state dict. And what you would do here is associate keys and values. So I might say the key MD is associated with the value Maryland. And maybe the key TX is associated with the value Texas. And the key NV is associated with the value Nevada. Okay, and I could just keep going if I want. VT is Vermont. And I won't do all of these, but you could do this for all 50 states. And you could, like I said, have this as a text file or something and build this by reading in the text file, which we'll learn about soon, how to do that sort of stuff. All right, so now to solve this problem, what you would do is just say that abbreviation is for, and then you would just say state dict, and the key is whatever they entered here. So the abbreviation, and that's it. So no if statements, in fact. So let's run this and see how this works. So if I enter a state abbreviation, if I enter TX for Texas, that says that's the abbreviation for Texas with no if statements in the program. And I could run it again and say NV, give me Nevada. Well, what happens if I enter something that's not in here? What do you think the appropriate behavior would be? I didn't put Ohio in the list, so what if I entered that? So it's going to say key error that doesn't exist in the dictionary. So there's ways to deal with that problem, to check if it's in there, to avoid this sort of error. And I'll leave that as an exercise if you want to find out how to do that for yourself. All right, so I want to show you one more example of kind of an interesting program that I saw that uses dictionaries. So here's this program called Is It Dark? And it uses the time module and a dictionary to figure out if it's currently dark outside. So let's look at how this program works. So this is just print statement. It's going to print something nice at the top. And then here's our first dictionary. So this dictionary associates, and this is a way, by the way, to write this. If we look at, people do this sometimes just to make them easier to read. If we look at this example, I could have written it like this, where I just kind of break it up on everything on its own separate line. That doesn't change anything. That just makes it a little easier to read one line at a time instead of having to kind of look at that mess all on one line. So a lot of times if there's dictionaries and initializer lists like this, you'll see them written like this, kind of separated out on the line, and that's what we had in this case. But yeah, I could definitely just write this all on one long line if I wanted. Anyway, so how this dictionary works is called dark. And on the left here are months. So this is the 1 represents January and the 12 represents December, okay? And on the right is the time of day when the sunset is during that month. And this is on a 24-hour clock. So this would be 4 o'clock p.m. This would be 5 o'clock p.m. and so on. I'm not sure if these numbers are exactly accurate, and it depends on like what part of the world you're in and stuff. But we'll just go with this to get the idea. And you would have to, if you wanted it to be accurate for wherever you live, you would need to make sure that these are the right sunset times, sunset hours for that month. Okay, so that's this dictionary. So if I said dark, give me the value associated with the key 3 in the dictionary dark, it would tell me 18 or 6 p.m. And then this dictionary, light, has same structure, but it's telling me the sunrise hour. So in February, the sun rises at 7 a.m., for instance. Okay? All right, and now what we're going to do is look at the time module, which we imported. Very first line, import time. We've seen that before with the sleep function, but what you can also do with that is get the current time. And this is based off of the system you're running. So if your system time is messed up, this won't be accurate, but usually it's all right on your computer. So what you can say is the time now is a variable, and it's just saying this is the current time when this program is run. And get the local time right now. Okay? And here's an if statement. If the time right now, if the hour, so that's the 24-hour clock. So if it's 5 in the afternoon, that would be 17. Is greater than or equal to, and this here is the current time, like the month right now. So this month, the time now variable that has the local time in it, is getting the month. So this is saying the dictionary dark, and this is going to be a number 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 12. So when I'm recording this video, it's July, so that would be a 7 here. So it'd say dark at the key 7 in the dark dictionary, so that would represent this line, the 20. So that's saying if the hour right now is greater than or equal to the time of the sunset, so it's after sunset, then it's dark right now, right? Or if the time, same thing, the hour, and now we're looking at the light dictionary, but it's the same thing. So this is going to be the month of the current time, and so again that would be 7. So when I'm recording this video, but it'll be different if you're watching at a different time. So it'd be July, and the sunrise hour right in July is 4 a.m., which I don't think is actually accurate, but oh well. It depends on where you live, like I said. Anyway, so altogether, this is saying if the hour right now is greater than or equal to the sunset or the sunset at this time of the year, or if the hour right now is earlier than the sunrise at this time of the year, then it's dark out because the sun's not up. Otherwise, it's not. So altogether, we have all this, and we could do this with a crazy amount of if statements, right? But the dictionaries are a little bit more compact way to write that. So we got this dictionary for the sunsets, this dictionary for the sunrises, and when I run the program, just give you a hint about what time of day it is when I'm recording it, I guess. Is it dark outside? Yes. Okay, and if you ran this program at a different time of day, it would get a different time. And so maybe it isn't dark outside at that time of day, like if it's at noon or something. Okay, so this is an example application of a dictionary. And there's lots of other applications that you can think of, but I just thought this was a neat little example because maybe you're in a room without windows and you want to know whether or not it's dark outside. All right, well, thanks for your attention in this video. And like I said, if you want to learn more about dictionaries, definitely just check out the Python documentation. So Google for Python 3 dictionaries, and you should go to the python.org website and have lots of information there, everything you'd ever want to know about dictionaries in Python.